This season, we're taking on the biggest COVID debates you're having in your house and in your community, putting facts first so you can make the best decisions to stay safe. Today, it's the reality that no one wants to believe. Could we be facing a COVID-19 and influenza superstorm this fall? For months now, experts have been warning about a surge of COVID-19 as the weather turns cold. But what would happen if we also had a terrible flu outbreak at the same time? It's a worst-case scenario being described as a twin-demic. And that's right, I said twin-demic. Join me now for a twin-demic summit. Our famed epidemiologist and virus hunter, Dr. Ian Lipkin, and Dr. Amesh Adalja, an infectious disease expert at the Johns Hopkins University Center for Health Security. So let's get right into this. Dr. Lipkin, what worries you the most about a twin-demic? You're one of the first people I heard describe it in a cogent way.
Well, we don't know yet what would happen if you were simultaneously infected with influenza and SARS-CoV-2. But that aside, if you get damage from one, you're more likely to have damage from the second. And more worrisome still would be the impact on our healthcare structures. We would be overwhelmed if we had a pandemic at the same time we had a resurgence of COVID-19.
So the question then becomes, are we going to have a bad flu season? So here's what experts say might be happening. This is a way of predicting the severity of the flu. All right, so let's look at the southern hemisphere, where the flu season is wrapping up. Now, these crazy numbers here, very simple. This is flu data from Australia. These numbers here are number of weekly cases, and along the bottom, the months of the year. You see the months down there? Now, look, it's pretty important. The number of cases weekly skyrocketing here, right? Going way up during their flu season, which is the summer, right? 2015, 16, 17, right? All these. But I want you to look at this orange line here. That's 2020. Right? It started low like all the other viruses did, and instead of skyrocketing like these other years, instead it went flat, right? It means virtually 0 cases all the way through to September, which is where we are now. Dr. Adalja was one of the experts closely monitoring what's going on down under. So how big a deal is it if they're not having a bad flu season in Australia?
I think it really speaks to the efficacy of the social distancing measures that we're using. So if you're washing your hands a lot, if you're staying 6 feet apart, if you're wearing a face covering, not only are you blocking COVID-19 spread, you're also blocking influenza spread. It will be interesting to see, because the southern hemisphere usually can seed the northern hemisphere's flu season and vice versa. And if we don't have a big spike of flu in the southern hemisphere, does that mean our northern hemisphere flu season won't be as bad as it usually is?
Your best guess, since you're the expert, do you believe because of social distancing, because we're protecting ourselves from COVID-19, we might actually be benefiting ourselves enough to get that kind of a flat line?
I think that's my hope. I think there is some evidence behind it. We'll have to see. And we have to prepare for the eventuality that we might not have that. And we might have to have flu and COVID-19 contending for the same bed space in hospitals and personal protective equipment. But I do think the southern hemisphere makes you think that this might be not as bad as we were worried about.
Dr. Lipkin, you touched on this tiny bit in your first answer. Is there a possibility that getting the flu might actually make you more vulnerable to getting sick with COVID-19?
I think the answer there is we just don't know yet. There isn't enough data.
I was reading some early articles arguing that in places where you have the flu, you seem to have more COVID-19. And so it might not just wreak havoc in your body to have one of the virus or the other, but it might actually hurt your ability to fight back. And I know there was one preprint that's predicted that the number of COVID cases could double when the flu is spreading at the same time. Is that true?
Yes, it's possible. There are a couple of interpretations there. It may simply be that people who are more likely to be infected with flu are also more likely to be infected and have disease with COVID-19. Yeah. They typically are people who are older, who are immunosuppressed, who have underlying lung damage, things of this nature. It is very important that everyone who can get a flu vaccination this year. And in fact, I had mine yesterday, and I was hoping we were going to do this together on set today.
I would have happily done it. You can first assist, or I'll first assist you, because I just got mine this week as well, which is, I think, speaks to the point that it's not only is it not too early, it is the exact right time. You're losing moments of protection by not getting your vaccine in a timely fashion.
That's true, and there are different vaccines for people over the age of 65 and under. Yeah. So I'm over 65. I realize you're just 39.
That's right. Again.
But it's a higher dose, or it has something called an adjuvant that makes it more effective.
All right, so when we come back, viewers from up and down the East Coast are joining us with their doctors to get their flu shot.